Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto Failed and Chose a Different Path, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. The tension in the area was so high it seemed the slightest action would cause an all-out battle for survival. That is until Naruto decided to cut it down in his own way. Hey. Hey old man, nice fireworks that you saw, huh? Said Naruto, trying to make a joke out of the situation, though the Hokage himself was not pleased and if anything made it worse. My, it's Sarutobi, the third Hokage. You are looking as grand as ever for someone of your considerable age. Come join us for a bite to eat. Or would you rather prefer some of the herbal tea here? Said Slade in his calm voice, knowing fully well why the third was here, as he had sensed the man snooping since he first came out of the seal Hokage Tower 20 minutes before the explosion. The third Hokage, that was Sarutobi, the professor, was no fool thanks to his 60 years of living, with over 50 of those years being a ninja. He had been in his office with his ever so dreadful paperwork that was the village government's lifeblood that kept its businesses going. The old man of a Hokage had just finished the last paper of work and was about to finally retire for the day in his much-needed bed when he felt a disturbance of a chakra presence around Naruto's apartment. Knowing fully well that anything concerning Naruto was as always a serious cause for concern as well as delicate subject all in itself, when Sarutobi sensed something was wrong. It also meant that someone, or rather something, was happening, and what was currently happening also involved the boy and the boy's sly demon tenant. The third Hokage went to his crystal ball and focused his power on the orb to focus on Naruto's apartment. No, it can't be possible, said Sarutobi, as the pipe he had in his mouth had fallen out of it and onto the floor, spilling the addicting nerve-calming substance inside as he watched was unfolding before him. He saw Kyuubi. The nine-tailed demon fox that was Kyuubi was rising from the seal on Naruto, knocking down the assassin trying to kill the boy in a human form. The smell of a living body, said Kyuubi as Sarutobi watched from his orb as it breathed in air heavily into its human form, looking at the assassin, who asked it a question that the Kyuubi responded in turn with cold, cruel, and calculating voice. Sarutobi felt powerless again as he watched the conversation go from being civilized to that of hostile on the Kyuubi's part, as he was now calling itself Slade. The third could only watched as the man who he sensed was a low-level chunin of an assassin, out of fear of possibly painful, had just confessed to what some of the Ninja Academy instructors had done to Naruto when he went to take the Genin exam, both the first time and this very day. How did he get let out? Could Naruto have done it in his sleep? I need to get to him, but as long as Slade is out of the seal, I won't get within 5 feet of Naruto's apartment, thought Sarutobi as he continued to think of how to get near Naruto to disable Kyuubi without the Kyuubi discovering him. Sarutobi's future thoughts stopped before reaching the surface suddenly when Kyuubi, in human form that was calling itself Slade, stopped in the middle of the hallway. The third Hokage nearly had a heart attack when Slade turned his head upward, looking right back at the third Hokage's bird-eye view with a narrowed eye. I know you are watching, old man. If you wish to seek me out, then do so, and if you want, bring a ninja army with you. I could use a good K if not M on my hands, said Slade before continuing his walk down the hallway to the landlord's room before knocking on it politely. Sarutobi immediately dispelled the all-seeing power of the crystal ball before he called for the Anbu guards outside. It was their job to watch and listen for any possible threats or enemies while waiting to escort their leader to his home. Yes, Lord Hokage, said one Anbu guard wearing a cat mask. Yes, I need you to gather as many Anbu and Junin ninja as you can in full battle-ready Anbu Black Ops gear that know about Naruto's condition. Ones that do not hold a grudge against the boy. Now, said the frantic-sounding third Hokage, making Anbu, poof, out of existence to follow his leader's orders. Within moments all the ninja that the Hokage had asked for were assembled before him in his office. Lord Hokage, I have brought everyone you have asked for, but I cannot find Kurenai, said the Anbu before he was told it was alright, and was then dismissed by the Hokage before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Lord Hokage, I ask in the name of youth, what did you call us here for? said Mato Guy calmly for once, though he was still wearing his usual disturbing green spandex, with his bowl-shaped haircut, and his thick eyebrows that made everyone wonder if they were his actual eyebrows or fake ones used to make it appear as if he had eyebrows. I have learned some terrible things about Naruto, group mumbles. Silence. It appears that the QB that has been sealed inside Naruto has somehow gotten out of his seal on Naruto's stomach. Gasps. However, I believe the seal still binds the QB to Naruto regardless of its newfound freedom outside the seal. The demon has already killed one person already. Gasps. It was an assassin sent to kill Naruto, though QB's now newfound freedom took care of the assassin. I fear for the safety of others in this village. Also, I must now assume that the landlord in Naruto's apartment may be next, if from what I saw where the demon was headed was any indication, said the third Hokage as he now briefly looked back at his now clear crystal ball before looking back at the now slightly unnerved ninjas assembled before him at his request. But why summon us here if that's the case, Lord Hokage? Why not summon people who hate Naruto so they will kill him without any hesitation in the matter? Said tea expert that was Mitarashi Anko, as she had personally seen no evil in the boy himself, just what he was the vessel of. Because I don't believe Naruto is under his influence of the QB just yet, and I need competent as well as loyal ninjas, who will listen to me should I tell him to stand down. I don't want to alarm Naruto or making QB agitated in this state, as I have seen what he can do in his human form and is not to be messed with. Plus Naruto trusts me and will listen to me when push comes to shove when one has to be serious, said Sarutobi, who received a nod from them all, from Anko to Ibiki to Guy and a slightly reluctant Kakashi, who seemed for the first time in a long time serious about something. Present time Ichiraku's ramen stand. Naruto, get away from him and come over here. Now, said Sarutobi in a serious voice, meaning that this was no time for Naruto's jokes, pranks, silly antics, or fake smiles that he always put on to hide his pain from everyone. Naruto's sheepish fake smile left his face almost immediately and he became much more serious, like the third's face was before Slade put a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder that made everyone else tense up at the show of affection. Slade smiled behind his mask as he realized what they were all assuming between him and the boy, and the two of them had bonded and he was now corrupting Naruto. You sure know how to make things that are private a public spectacle, Sarutobi. To think, Arashi spoke so highly of you at being the most intelligent one of the three Hokages of this village, said Slade, ignoring the current intent of a certain one-eyed Junin who raised his headband, revealing his weird red eye to the demon lord, who was not intimidated in the slightest, as he had felt worse king intent than this. Everyone else was surprised that the demon fox knew the fourth's name, but shrugged it off, feeling it was unimportant, for the moment anyway. Naruto, I'm going to ask you one more time. Get over here now, said Sarutobi, as his eyes now showed the old fire in him that had made him Hokage to begin with in his younger years. You think I'm corrupting the boy, Sarutobi? He already knows about what I truly am and what the fourth Hokage did to him that made him hated throughout this entire village by both villager and ninja alike. Did you really think that by revealing him as my vessel to both the villagers and the ninjas and asking that the boy be seen as a hero would actually work? If I had to grade you, Professor, I would give you an A for effort, but an F in being such a foolish and naive old man as well as being stupid in the matter, said Slade, getting up from the stool, making some of the ninja look slightly more tense than before. Yeah, old man, I know all about the QB, and if it wasn't for him I wouldn't even be here right now. Slade sensei is not that bad a guy. You should hear him out, said Naruto, who had to almost struggle to speak at first from the king intent from the silver-haired Junin of the group, who was now running through hand seals. Sarutobi, I know you said to follow you and trust your decisions, and I always have, but it is clear that this this thing has corrupted Naruto. The demon has corrupted him into believing that the QB is the victim in this case, when it couldn't be more further from the truth. I was Arashi's student and he was like a father to me. I cannot just stand by and listen to this demon filth talk about him as if they were brothers in arms. It is an insult to me and Arashi, said Kakashi as he finished his seals with his right hand pressed down, gathering and blue electric-like energy into Reed to use against the demon fox. Wait, don't fight please. Old man Hokage, please listen to what I have to say. After I was woken up by Slade Sensei, said Naruto. Unfortunately, his voice was drowned out by Kakashi's attack in the ninja's hands as the Junin charged at him with it, as the sound of 1,000 birds chirping could be heard throughout the area. Chidori. yelled Kakashi as he aimed his attack at the enemy in front of him that he hated now more than any being in his life. It was a powerful assassination technique that was of Kakashi's own personal design that he modeled after the fourth's own prized technique, the Rasengan. However, from what Kakashi remembered when he showed the technique to his sensei, for some reason Arashi had a disapproving look on his face. Kakashi was now using this very technique to not only to end the Kyuubi's life, but also the very boy whose life connected the beast to this world. Naruto. Kakashi, stop at once, said Sarutobi as he wanted to hear what Naruto had to say, as he had ended his vision of what was happening through his crystal ball and needed to know what had happened after Slade was headed for the landlord's apartment. Slade knew what Kakashi was doing, as it didn't take someone with a surgically attached bloodline limit like the son of the White Fang had to see what, or rather who, the man was attempting to aim his attack at. Just as Kakashi was about to strike down Naruto through the heart with his attack, a wall of demonic chakra-like fire appeared, blocking the attack entirely. Kakashi, Naruto, and the others were stunned as they saw the wall in front of him. Whoa! Slade-sensei, are you actually doing this? Said Naruto as he almost wanted to touch the wall in front of him had it not held Kakashi's attack perfectly in place. The third and the others looked to the source of the wall and found that it was none other than Slade, whose now one red glowing masked eye was now angrily looking directly at Kakashi. Fool! You may be Arashi's best student, but you are still the lazy and stupid failure he always feared you'd be, said Slade in a calm voice, but the anger laced into his voice was as thick as a months-old carton of milk in Naruto's now destroyed home. Kakashi was so shocked at hearing those words that he had failed to notice that Slade was now next to him, clutching his still Chidori-covered hand, removing it from the orange-red demonic chakra wall. How do you know he told me that? That he said that to me? Said a now terrified Kakashi as both his eyes stared into Slade's one demonic eye before Slade twisted the wrist hard, breaking it, cancelling out the attack. Wouldn't you like to know, Kakashi? Said Slade before slamming his metal-masked skull gently into Kakashi's face, knocking the silver-haired Junin back several steps as blood left his forehead down his face. Stop. The Q. I mean, Slade is correct, we should talk about this in a more suitable and appropriate setting other than here, said the third as the others got ready to fight after seeing what Slade easily did to Kakashi. Indeed we should. As there are too many people observing us here with their eyes and ears, it would not be healthy for Naruto in the future. I am glad that you agree with my observation about this situation, oh wise Sarutobi, said Slade in an almost mocking tone as he turned to the third Hokage. This should be done in more private setting, as you said before, Slade. Please follow me with Naruto to my office so we may discuss this in a more civilized manner. Kakashi, go to the hospital to get your wounds treated and then see me tomorrow, said still slightly shook up Hokage, hoping that things could be resolved in a less hostile way. Lord Hokage, should we really trust this demon and bring him to your office? He could be planning something, as foxes were always considered the top master tricksters of all the animals in the world, said Asuma, who would rather get punched between the legs than see the Kyuubi even set foot in the Hokage's office. Do you know of a better way to keep the fox demon on his good side, Asuma? Did you not see how he easily stopped Kakashi's Chidori and Kakashi? He didn't even move a muscle till he had to in order to remove the attack away from Naruto. No, we will try to keep this as civilized as possible, said the Hokage, earning a nod from Slade, surprising everyone that Demon Lord would do such a thing. Better. Come Naruto, as we got our foot in the door. Now we push, said Slade, walking past Kakashi as he earning an understanding nod from Naruto as the said boy picked up his bag and box of possessions he took from his apartment, with him following in line with Slade on his left, with the third Hokage on his right, with all the other ninjas as well as Anbu surrounding him as they headed for the Hokage Tower. 55 minutes later, Hokage's office. It took them about 15 minutes walking to reach Hokage's tower, with another additional 35 minutes to tell everything from both Slade and Naruto's point of view of things that lead up to the incident at the ramen stand. The remaining 5 minutes that came afterwards were to get used to the migraine headache the size of the Hokage monument the Hokage and the other ninjas had just listened to. As you can see from confidential information that you have from past events, Lord Hokage, even I am a pawn in this twisted game, said Slade, patting a sleepy Naruto who was now leaning back on his chair using the upper part of the cushioning like a pillow. It was obvious by this point that Naruto was beyond tired, as his mind couldn't stay awake anymore as his mental clock told him it was time to sleep. The Hokage looked over once at Naruto, then back to Slade, who just shrugged as if it was nothing before he just sighed, rubbing his wrinkled temples. I'm getting too old for this mumbled an extremely tired Sarutobi as he felt like taking a vacation, which ironically was not in his power to do so. I assure you it is the truth if what you think I'm saying is a lie. Whether you believe it or not is entirely up to you. As for you getting too old, you could always let me take your place, said Slade jokingly at the end, though from the looks on everyone else's faces told the demon fox now was not the time for joking, even though for him it was enjoyable. Asuma was having one of his urges for a rare super drag while still looking at Slade like he was crazy. So let me see if I can get this straight and understand this correctly. You, points to Slade. You the great nine-tailed demon fox that we dubbed simply as the QB, Slade nods, who was technically indirectly responsible for King our late great fourth Hokage. Slade nods, was in fact the fourth Hokage's secret training partner and sensei. Slade nods calmly one more time. I must be going out of my mind, said Asuma as he took a super puff of his cigarette as the stress was becoming too much to take right now without a much-needed drag. I don't know Asuma, I would say this is a blessing in disguise for Ibiki and me, seeing as I have always wanted to tee a demon before. Especially this one, said Anko as her torturing psychotic side kicked in. She let loose some shadow snakes, wanting to see how the big bad fox demon would fare against her. Her shadow snakes came out of her, took one look at Slade, and retreated back into her arms, shivering in fear, making the sight slightly comical. Those are the smartest snakes I have seen in my entire life. As for you, Anko was it. I suggest you take a long bath-filled soak in the hot springs till you remove the sickening stench of snakes off you. Some of us would like to breathe clean air and not the scent of a snake-dressed whore like you, said Slade, narrowing his eye at her while everyone except Naruto, who was now asleep, backed away, unaware that his demon prisoner was now picking a fight by insulting one of two of Konoha's top interrogation specialists. Snake whore. Snake whore. I'll kill you. When I get done with you, sorry piece of demon you'll be my begging to go back into the kid. Yelled Anko as she was beyond pissed, but you didn't need to be a genius know that, as the yelling clearly gave it away as she pulled out a double-bladed kunai, charging at him with all her speed and power. To anyone else, Anko had moved at high speed, while to Slade just saw her moved slower than a snail in snow. He grabbed her weapon in closed hand, spun around her, elbowed her in the back, and then finally was thrown into the wall with such force one would think that soon the legendary Sannin and the third student of the professor had returned. Looks like you won't get your chance anytime soon with the condition you are in. Go to the hospital and get fixed up, and if you still wish to hurt me, seek me out, but know this. I will win every time because you can't defeat me, said Slade, gently cupping her chin up so she could see his sinister one eye while a small trickle of blood left her chin. At that moment, as there was a polite knock at the door and the newly promoted to Junin Yuhi Kurenai entered the room in her new Junin vest and outfit. Please forgive me, sir, but I must speak to you in regards to Hyuga Hinata and her family, said Kurenai as she had been at the Hyuga compound all day and had just left the area a good 2 hours ago, only to go to the local bar an hour later. Kurenai was not a heavy drinker and never had been, though Anko, for all her mischievous ways, had tried to get her to be. The crazy female ninja kept saying it makes the voices in the head stop every once in a while from talking. For a long moment in the bar she almost considered following her friend's advice, as she had tried, being the key word, to drown her hatred for the man that was Hyuga Hiyashi in warm sake. Damn that man for being more of clan head than a father, as his late wife Hitome would never have let such abuse happen, Kurenai had thought while in the bar as she looked at the sake bottle with such anger the bottle itself cracked and then broke after she left for the Hokage's office. She had tried to drown the voices in her head saying to Kei the man now consequences be damned and end Hinata's suffering, as she had seen the poor girl in constant sorrow. The novice Junin had seen it in previous passing of the girl in the village or when she visited the Hyuga at the compound, up till Hinata's father finally ordered the female Junin to leave his daughter alone, as her care, as he put it, was in his very capable hands. Capable hands, my Junin vest, thought a still furious Kurenai as she wanted to break that man's mind, body and soul into so many tiny pieces right now with a good solid genjutsu. However, the logical part of her mind refused to let her do such things, as the logical part of her brain told her to try to speak to the Hokage for a possible solution to this problem she was having with the very influential political families, noble traditions, of their clan. Am I interrupting something here, sir? said a curious Kurenai as everyone looked at her clueless face that looked like Naruto's was towards Hinata when she was less than 50 yards away from her secret crush. That was the blonde demon vessel. Not at all Kurenai, in fact everyone here should get some rest as we need to have another meeting tomorrow concerning what we have just discussed here. Also Genma, could you please see Iruka at his house and tell him I need to speak to him tomorrow morning. Tell him it concerns this year's Genin examinations, said Sarutobi, leaving everyone to leave, though Anko could only be moved with help seeing as she had been injured so easily by the demon in human form. When everyone else had left, it was just Kurenai, Slade, the third Hokage, and a sleeping Naruto who was now snoring slightly on the chair he was in. Sir, maybe I should come back tomorrow morning when you're not busy, said Kurenai, unsure if she could talk about what she wanted to say as she looked Slade over, measuring him up to her perceptive yet strange genjutsu-enhanced red eyes. It's all right Kurenai, as this is possibly your best chance to see, as tomorrow I have to do some thorough chewing out of several Chunin instructors as well as certain others. As for the strangers in the room, the boy is sound asleep and is a heavy sleeper from what I have been told by his peers. Also Slade here, points to Slade, is no stranger to that of the Hyuga affairs that I am sure you are here to discuss with me about. Hiashi has also been to see me, only it's not about Hinata or the clan, but rather you interfering with them and trying to encourage Hinata to disgrace her heritage and legacy, as Hiashi put it, said Sarutobi, who for once was actually glad to deal with something in the village that was considered normal for him. Despite what that man says about what I am doing, Lord Hokage, I think you'll find he is the one who is disgracing her and the memory of her late mother Hitome, said Kurenai as she glanced over at Slade again out of the corner of her eyes. Hitome is how? Said Slade as his eye had now narrowed dangerously as he had no knowledge about this event. Unfortunately she is Slade. As for how, we don't know. Some people tried to blame it on the village's scapegoat, Kyubi. Many people claimed it was an act of revenge by the demon on the village by aiming itself at the last great clan of Konoha, said Sarutobi, not wanting to reveal that Slade was in fact Kyubi in human form to Kurenai, as he did not know how the female Junin would take such news of the man that was Slade, who was in the very room being Kyubi and to some extent being able freely walk around. Whatever caused Hitome's death changed the man completely, and even though at first I supported him because he was in pain, he has changed drastically. He went from the man I once respected and grieved with at her funeral to a man whose heart is so cold you can't get near the man without shivering whether you look into his eyes or not, said Kurenai sadly, as it had been the case on several occasions with that man when she had gone to see him about Hinata. Tell me, my dear, do you know about the secret Hyuga scandal during the time of the nominations for the 3 people who would become Sarutobi's successor? Said Slade, who was curious as to just how far this woman would go to see the Hyugas put in their snobbish place. Secret scandal? No, what was it about exactly? Said Kurenai, as she had never officially even heard of such a thing in the Hyuga clan, though she did hear the various whispers of the rumors flying around that dishonored the branch family considerably. Slade, before you say anything further, I want Kurenai to understand that she cannot in any way reveal what is about to be said. I do not want the Hyugas to try to find a way out of this should they know that you of all people know about this information. In fact, it's one of the rare things I have that prevents them from trying to make a move on trying to cane Naruto in a public execution. They have great influence with the vast majority of the elders in Konoha, and this is the only blackmail material I have that keeps the dark desires at bay. But should they find a way around it, I have no safety net to fall back on, so what we tell you now cannot leave this room, said Sarutobi, seeing as such a scandal was intense in itself, as it was one of the reasons the main and branch families never got along with each other, creating the friction and infighting within the family as a whole. My lips are sealed, Lord Hokage, said Kurenai, as she would have to thank this stranger later for giving her this piece of Hyuga dirt, as such things from the family were believed to be non-existent. In fact, she could use such information later with the permission of the Hokage course as a bargaining chip for Hinata's secure future should things go worse in the clan. Also find out who he is and what he looks like beyond that mask, thought Kurenai, as she never really liked people who hid their faces like Kakashi, as it made no sense in the slightest to her, because she knew from those very rare few people who did see his face that he was not scared at all under it. It all started as things came to a head about 7 or 8 months before a successor was to be officially named by Sarutobi and approved by the village council of elders for being the 4th Hokage. However, no one ever said that people who could and should play fair would in these types of cases. This scandal with them is further proof of such a case with the Hyuga's branch family, though they will never ever admit it to anyone even on their own deathbeds, said Slade, starting the story off knowing the Hokage would continue where he left off before continuing when the time presented itself. I don't think I understand, said Kurenai as she saw the metal-masked man's close as he now leaned against a wall deep in though as if remembering the events run through his head. You see Hisashi along with several other key Hyuga elders that wanted control of Konoha to expand the superior clan all over Fire Country. Though by the time they wanted to do it they realized they could only do it through legal channels of the council. The Hyuga elders struck a deal with Hisashi that he could not turn away from. If it was possible for Hisashi to become Hokage as they wished him to and achieve the status and power over the village, then the Hyuga elders promised to him they would not put the caged bird cursed seal on the man's only son Neji when he reached the required age as set in accordance to traditions where a branch family member would receive it, said the Hokage as he remembered how things played out. Naturally Hisashi had accepted the deal from what I can assume from this being such a scandal, said Kurenai, though she couldn't blame him as she probably would have done something like that if she had a son or daughter living under those conditions. Yes, he did. As time passed, the Hyugas learned and found that the greatest threat for their chance at power was not Orochimaru, but none other than the late Kazama Arashi, who eventually became the fourth Hokage. It was then that Hisashi, with the help of the Hyuga elders, discovered a rare and forbidden seal that can only be learned by those of the high-ranking Hyuga elders. However, according to Hyuga clan laws, it can only be used on other Hyugas as it was designed for them should the caged bird seal not be, though rarely was, enough to restrain a branch member of the family, said Slade as he now opened his eye as he turned to look at Kurenai in her red eyes that made her dare he think it attractive. Just when I think I can't hate the Hyugas, noble traditions, I have been proven wrong about just how low the clan will get to maintain their power over the mystery of their stupid eyes and their bloodline limit, said an angry Kurenai who got a nod from both the Hokage and Slade as they obviously agreed with her. You were not alone in that regard either. When I learned what they did to Arashi as they tried to ensure he would lose to Hisashi when the time came. They secretly put that seal on the back of his en above his hair so no one would see it. The seal they gave him had started disrupting his pathways shortly after it was placed after Arashi and Hisashi went off to train one day and Hisashi knocked Arashi out in a surprise move using a difficult gentle fist disabling technique known only by the Hyuga elders and the both Hisashi and Hiashi, said Sarutobi looking at her waiting to see the question he could see was looming in her head. Did Hiashi know about this? Was he even involved? Said Kurenai as she would love to see that man put in her place. No. I knew both him and Arashi very well. They were close dear friends to one another and it was because of Arashi and me that Hiashi even fell in love with Hitome. If it was not for Arashi and myself Hiashi would never have met, fallen in love, and married the woman. In fact he was the only Hyuga besides Hitome who supported Arashi in being the fourth Hokage instead of his own brother, which if I recall correctly made his twin exceedingly angry, said Slade looking over at Naruto's sleeping form for a moment as he had sensed something wrong coming from the boy, but couldn't pinpoint the source of it. One can only imagine what Hisashi must have felt towards who was of the same blood as him. I'm not defending Hisashi, but still having your own brother not support you in our quests for something like the title of Hokage. Your own twin brother for that matter, said Kurenai as she thought of what it would be like to have a twin sister that looked just like her not supporting her when she needed her the most. When it was discovered that the seal was placed on Arashi by Hisashi at the secret and discreet assistance of some of still now nameless Hyuga elders I was going to have the man executed for treason. However, when what I was about to do to the man was brought to Hiashi's attention it was only then did the man intervene and spare his brother from certain doom. In exchange for having his life spared Hisashi would be forced to witness his son being branded the cage bird curse seal to be performed by none other than the head of the Hyuga clan Hyuga Hiashi himself, said Sarutobi seeing Kurenai's now shocked expression that etched her face. Talk about adding insult to injury when it comes to punishment. I take it with the seal removed off of the fourth's end he quickly came back stronger than ever, said Kurenai getting a nod from Slade and the third. Indeed. Though Orochimaru was far from happy with the end results feeling that he was being removed from a title of power that felt was rightfully his as he was the points to the Hokage's best student of the three you trained. Thus was what made him go rogue in the first place, said Slade knowing that this talk about the past would soon be ending. I see. Well, I'll keep what you told me in mind, sir. I'll see you tomorrow sometime in the afternoon for a possible mission if that's all right, said Kurenai, who received a tired nod from the Hokage before she left out and shut the door for her home. I need to speak with you tomorrow as well about Naruto being a ninja, even if it can only be that of an unofficial record. Also, I need to ask you for a small favor, and I expect the answer to be a yes, said Slade, leaving his nicer personal with Kurenai and stared back harshly at the third Hokage with such a look the Hokage flinched noticeably at the sight of it. You can be at the meeting I have with me and Iruka before I can even do anything about that. As for the favor, it all really depends on the favor, though I have a feeling that even if I said no, you would still do it anyway, said Sarutobi, looking into Slade's one eye while Slade himself just nodded. I want and going to the people working at the orphanage that Naruto lived at when he was younger, as they were nothing but cruel and inhumane to him. When you were not there twice a week for your checkups on him, they beat him, poisoned him, and even tried to starve the poor boy to death. Had it not been for your twice-a-week checkups and my demonic powers of healing of his wounds, the boy would have SD in less than the week that he was delivered to them, said Slade, now seeing the Hokage's reaction and the old man's face go from shock to angry in less than 3 heartbeats. Very well, Slade, as I have no choice. I did not tell them he was the vessel, so he would be able to at least have a good childhood in the orphanage with other children due to the law I made. However, seeing as to what they did to the boy falls not only under the S-class law about not telling anyone that Naruto held you within his body, but their actions also falls under the child abuse prevention law. A law that the first Hokage himself made when he was sitting in this very chair when he ruled over Konoha. When either of the laws are broken, the person or people who break it are put to death, so no matter which law we use against them, either way it doesn't matter, as they are to be sentenced to death for the crimes they have committed. Fortunately, it never specified just how they would when they broke either of the laws, other than the fact that they would, said Sarutobi, who looked into Slade's eye with a smile on his face and a glint in his old eyes, telling Slade the hidden meaning behind his words. I understand, Lord Hokage. Tell all ninjas within the shinobi ranks not to do anything yet till after I'm done with them. I would also suggest you prepare the employment forms for finding new child supervisors, said Slade, picking up Naruto and the boy's remaining possessions gently before heading towards the door, but was stopped by third Hokage. Wait, you have no place to go. Please stay at the Hokage mansion that I live, at least for tonight until things are better. I give you my word the boy will be safe while staying at my home, said the third Hokage, not wanting to find out just where the boy would be staying had he not made the offer. Slade just smiled at the old man, though you wouldn't be able to tell with the metal mask covering his face. Naruto and I would be honored, said Slade, walking out with Naruto in the demon's arms with Sarutobi right next to him. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.